Hey guys, I know it's been a while. Work and college has been hectic, but I finally finished the Harbour Master by William Mcfee, which was written in 1931. And I have some conflicting opinions about this book. It was definitely a hard read. So today in this video, we'll be talking about it. So welcome to a literary odyssey where we love to read books, but we love the journey even more. So let me first start off by saying, as I mentioned in my intro portion of the video, this was definitely a hard read. It took me way longer than I expected to read it for two main reasons. One, I absolutely could not connect with a single character in this book. It was told from the perspective of a man who just was like a seaman. He would go on boats and sail, and I've never been on a boat or anything like that, or spent a elongated amount of time on the sea. In fact, I am terrified to be on boats, so I really couldn't connect. But the overarching kind of thing that pops up when you read this book is that it's a one singular setting, meaning that Mr. Spenlove, who is our main character, was the friend of Captain Farley. The entire time the book is taking place, he's literally just storytelling to a group of people or to an audience the tragic story of Captain Farley falling in love with this woman named Francine. The story really is kind of a wannabe tragic love story, but I found the love within the story very trivial. I felt like the characters really didn't know what love was. Their idea of love was just difficult. Like they made being in love or loving someone just more challenging than it should be. And what I mean by that is when Mr. Spenlove begins to tell his audience or recount the story of Mr. Farley, Miss Francine falling in love, it starts well before that, and he talks about Mr. Farley's prior loves. Mr. Farley first fell in love with this woman. I recall her name was Elizabeth, and he wasn't like, I guess Mr. Farley is the type of person that if he sees a beautiful woman, he's automatically in love. So he fell in love with one woman because he thought she was absolutely enchanting. But that relationship was very difficult because this woman, for some odd reason, like I couldn't even connect with her, was obsessed with her younger brother and thinking that he was absolutely perfect. She took on kind of like this motherly role with him, and believing that anything that he went through was not his fault. So very quickly, Mr. Farley and Elizabeth fell apart, because I don't believe any relationship can last where someone makes the responsibility of someone else on someone else. If that makes sense, I feel like people should be responsible for themselves. But that relationship fell apart. And like I mentioned before, this Mr. Farley and Mr. Spenlove are seamen. They're not in the Navy or anything like that. They just lived their lives on the sea. They were explorers. They end up going on a boat, and they sailed to another country. And then Mr. Farley ends up ending his relationship with Elizabeth. And then he starts seeing another woman who he believed was, just beautiful. Now, the thing is that these women believed that Mr. Farley was somehow rich, that he had a lot of money, that over on his seas and his explorations, he would gain a lot of money. So he meets this woman, and I believe her name is Theragen. And Theragen really, really wants to marry him, but that ends up falling apart as well, because when we think of seamen, one of the things that comes to mind is a siren. Mr. Farley was sailing and then he comes across a boat that he has to do battle with, and he ends up winning the battle. And some of the people that were on the boat that sunk were able to get on lifeboats. And so he allowed those people to find safety on his boat. However, Miss Francine was on that boat, and he instantly fell in love. He thought this woman kind of was his siren out of the sea that he falls in love with. The odd thing is, for some reason, talk about small world, Francine is the sister of Therigen, the woman that he was seeing. And so he tells Therigen, hey, I'm in love with your sister. I'm leaving you. Please go somewhere else, right? So the sister is like really, really upset. And so she tries to find a way to make Mr. Farley fall in love with her again. Well, Francine discovers that this sister is doing that. And so she actually kills her sister. She stabs her like in the chest while she's in bed. So Mr. Farley realized what happened, and they end up boarding a ship and they leave. So there was never like justice for the sister, which kind of made me upset because I feel like characters who do something bad should somewhere in the story either repent or karma comes to, knock at their door, but nothing happened with that. She just like literally killed her sister. And so once again, I mentioned I couldn't connect with any of the characters because I could not imagine killing my sister in such a brutal way as taking a kitchen knife and stabbing her through the heart because I wanted her man. That makes no sense to me. That's not love to me. Because there's two forms of love. There's family love, and then there's, I'm attracted to you. I want you to be my spouse. And I don't know. There's just no way that I would kill my sister over a man. There's no way. So they end up boarding a ship, and they keep going to these different areas because Francine, she's complicated. She actually, to me, I felt like she never loved Mr. Farley. She had this notion that Mr. Farley was going to give her a life that she deserved, that she would be able to buy whatever her heart's desired, because they always mention that the fact that Mrs. Francine or Miss Francine was this beautiful creature. Pretty much any man who set eyes on her would want to leave their wife almost immediately and just go to her. So she was, in essence, like a human siren because he found her in the water and she was just so beautiful that she could get any man she wanted. But every time that they were together on land, they were miserable together because he wasn't giving her what she wanted. I believe that he didn't even really love her either, that he just wanted, I guess, like this idea fulfilled in his head that he needed a woman, or he just needed to be near a woman who was beautiful. It was trivial to me. I could not understand his idea or his concepts of what love was. It didn't make sense to me at all. I feel like if you're really in love with someone, yes, I understand there's problems in any relationship, but to be constantly miserable with someone, know that you're miserable with someone, but yet you still are with them because either you don't want to be alone or you have this idea that you're going to use their money and get whatever you want. It just doesn't make sense to me. So anywho, you got to remember that Mr. Spenlove is just like recounting this story of Mr. Farley falling in love and then ultimately meeting Francine and then recounting all the stuff that they went through. So he's just like, he's storytelling. And all these people are just like, what? I don't understand. Like even the audience gets to speak sometimes and they're just like, this makes no sense. And I connected more with the audience. Like, why are they doing this? Why are they making this so hard? Why, if you're not happy, you just don't leave? So anyways, long story short, eventually we find out that Francine was born with a condition where her heart was really small. Mr. Farley didn't pretty much pay attention to this condition until it was pretty much too late. And so Miss Farley ends up dying from this heart condition. And by the time he finds out, Mr. Farley is being excommunicated pretty much from being a captain because they believe that he colluded with someone else and stole thousands of dollars and that he was a corrupt captain. So in one day, Captain Farley was fired from his job, and then his wife died. He ended up going home, saying goodbye to his wife's corpse, and blowing his brains out. And there was no, after you get to the part where he blows his brains out, there's one page left in the book. And it's just Mr. Spenlow saying, this was a tragic story of two people I came to love, and they died. So to me, there was absolutely no reason to read this book. There was no point. I saw no point in finishing this book. It took me so long to finish it because I would literally read 2 pages and pass out. So what's bothering me, and I'm kind of done with recapping this story. What's bothering me is that when I first started pursuing reading all the books on the New York Times bestseller, I had this idea in my head. There was this panel of people who would sit down and read the book and, judge it based off of its own characteristics and its powerful writing and saying, oh, this book is profound. And then it would become a New York Times bestseller. I was very young at that time, and I didn't put 2 and 2 together and realize that New York Times bestseller just means a book that sells a lot of copies. And so the book doesn't have to be good in order to sell a lot of copies. You just probably pretty much have to do an outstanding promotion of your book in order to become a New York Times bestseller. And I discovered this in 2015 when I started pursuing reading all the books. And then I had 3 months where I just kept reading nothing but horrible books. Horrible books. I think there's more books that I did not like so far in my journey of reading all of them than actual books that I liked. So it's kind of devastating to my idea of what this journey was going to mean to me because I wanted to pretty much read these amazing classics because I thought the New York Times bestseller would be classics. But I'm just coming to find out that as long as you got money and a good marketing plan, you can have your book in the New York Times bestseller. And I don't agree with that. I don't agree with that at all. I feel like they need to create a group, a very diverse group of people to come together and have an author present their book, have them read it, and based off of how they feel, then the panel gives a review of the book, and then people buy it. I don't know. I guess that's the reader in me being really, really, really critical and mean. I just wish the New York Times bestsellers were actual books that invoked something in people. I wish that more people were readers, and I was hoping that through my journey of reading all the books on the New York Times bestsellers that I could meet someone who didn't like reading and I could give them recommendations and open up their world to books. Maybe I need to step back from it and revise this kind of life goal for me, but I don't know. I really didn't mean for this video to get all deep. If you have any opinions on my final thoughts about the New York Times bestseller, you can definitely comment down below. I wouldn't take offense to it. So other than that, that was the overview of the 3rd book that was ever selected on the New York Times bestsellers, called The Harbour Master by William Mcfee. If you do try to buy this book, I will let you know it is very expensive. It is very hard to find. You will definitely have to find it from a private seller, which I had to. But if you do pick it up and you read it, please come back. with your opinions, and I would love to see if you have different viewpoints on the book than I did. So other than that, I hope everyone has a great day, and I hope that you pick up this book. Bye.